Three Men in a Boat by Jerome K. Jerome. There were four of us, George and William Samuel Harris and myself and Montmorency. We were sitting in my room, smoking, and talking about how bad we were. Bad from a medical point of view, I mean, of course. George said, "Let's go up the river." He said we should have some fresh air, exercise, and quiet. The constant change of scene would occupy our minds, including what there was of Harris's, and the hard work would give us a good appetite and make us sleep well. I rather pride myself on my packing. Packing is one of those many things that I feel I know more about than any other person living. It surprises me myself sometimes how many of these subjects there are. Our boat was waiting for us at Clifton Hampden, just below the bridge, and to it we wended our way, and round it we stored our luggage, and into it we stepped. "Are you all right, sir?" said the man. "Right it is," we answered, and with Harris at the sculls, and I at the tiller lines, and Montmorency, unhappy and deeply suspicious, in the prow, out we shot on the waters which were to be our home. We stopped under the willows by Kempton Park and lunched. It is a pretty little spot there, a pleasant grass plateau running along by the water's edge and overhung by willows. We just commenced the third course, the bread and jam, when a gentleman in shirt-sleeves and a short pipe came along and wanted to know if we knew that we were trespassing. We said we hadn't given the matter sufficient consideration as yet to enable us to arrive at a definite conclusion on that point, but that if he assured us on his word as a gentleman that we were trespassing, we would, without further hesitation, believe it. He gave us the required assurance, and we thanked him, but he still hung about and seemed to be dissatisfied. It was 7:30 when we were through, and we all got in and sculled up close to the left bank, looking out for a spot to haul up in. Then we thought we were going to have supper. We dispensed with tea so as to save time, but George said no, that we'd better get the canvas up first before it got quite dark, and while we could still see what we were doing. Then, he said, all our work would be done, and we could sit down to eat with an easy mind. With a tremendous splash, and I was out midstream with a gallon of Thames water inside me before I knew what had happened. "By Jove, old Jay's gone in," I heard Harris say as I came blowing to the surface. I didn't think he'd have the pluck to do it, did you?" "Is it all right?" sang out George. "Aha, lovely," I spluttered back. "You are duffers not to come in. I wouldn't have missed this for the world. Why don't you try it? It only wants a little determination." But I could not persuade them. Then we lit the lantern and squatted down to supper. We wanted that supper. For 35 minutes, not a sound was heard throughout the length and breadth of that boat, save the clank of cutlery and crockery and the steady grinding of 4 sets of molars. We lit our pipes and sat looking out on the quiet night and talked. George said, why could not we be always like this? We turned in at 10 that night, and I thought I should sleep well, being tired, but I didn't. As a rule, I undress and put my head on the pillow, and then somebody bangs at the door and says it's 8:30. But tonight, everything seemed against me. The novelty of it all, the hardness of the boat, the cramped position, I was lying with my feet under one seat and my head on another, the sound of the lapping water round the boat and the wind among the branches kept me restless and disturbed. I did get to sleep for a few hours, and then some part of the boat, which seemed to have grown up in the night, for it certainly was not there when we started, and it had disappeared by morning, kept digging into my spine. The weather changed, and we started in the midst of a steady drizzle. We rode on all that day through the rain, and very melancholy work it was. We pretended at first that we enjoyed it. We said it was a change, and that we'd like to see the river under all its different aspects. We said we could not expect to have it all sunshine, nor should we wish it. We told each other that nature was beautiful even in her tears. Indeed, Harris and I were quite enthusiastic about the business for the first few hours. We hoisted the cover before we had lunch, and kept it up all the afternoon, just leaving a little space in the bow from which one of us could paddle and keep a lookout. The rain continued to pour down, and we sat, wrapped up in our mackintoshes underneath the canvas, and drifted slowly down. We got out at sunning and went for a walk round the village. It is the most fairy-like little nook on the whole river. We decided to go back to one of the Shiplake Islands and put up there for the night. It was still early when we got settled, and George said that, as we had plenty of time, it would be a splendid opportunity to try a good slap-up supper. He said he would show us what could be done up the river in the way of cooking, and suggested that with the vegetables and the remains of the cold beef and general odds and ends, we should make an Irish stew. It seemed a fascinating idea. George gathered wood and made a fire, and Harris and I started to peel the potatoes. We also put in a cabbage and about half a peck of peas. George stirred it all up, and then he said that there seemed to be a lot of room to spare, so we overhauled both the hampers and picked out all the odds and ends and the remnants and added them to the stew. It was a great success, that Irish stew. I don't think I ever enjoyed a meal more. We finished up with tea and cherry tart. After that, we mixed ourselves some toddy and sat round and talked. I cannot honestly say that we had a merry evening. The rain poured down with quiet persistency. Everything in the boat was damp and clammy. There being nothing else to do, we went to bed. That is, we undressed ourselves and tossed about at the bottom of the boat for some 3 or 4 hours, after which we managed to get some fitful slumber until 5 in the morning, when we all got up and had breakfast.